Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of Coffee with MindMagine. Today is being hosted together with Phoenix One from Manila. I have the honor today to have with us as guest Zhenpeng Sun, Managing Director of EXIN Asia. Zhenpeng, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mikhail.
I realize that Siri started interfering with our discussion. Let me switch that off. Welcome, Zhenpeng. In the short chat we had before we started this, we actually came to the conclusion that we already have a long-going history. We started to know each other already when you were still with Van Haren publishing a lot of books about IT service management. We have mutual acquaintance there. When was it when you started within EXIN?
Right. Like you mentioned, actually, I joined Farharan in 2005 for introducing the first ITIL book to the Chinese market. And
Yeah.
2 years later, the CEO of EXIN at that time said, "Son, if you are working for publishing, why can't you help us develop our exam market in China?" So that's where I joined EXIN around 2006. Right. So it's already 18 years ago already. So we translated the first ITIL version 2 exams introduced to the China and Asia market back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast time goes.
Indeed.
I will be having a discussion with you about SIAM today. And I would invite everybody, if you have any questions, we do that live through Telegram. So on the screen, you guys can see an QR code to join our Telegram server. So we can make this as interactive as possible. SIAM. Actually,
Yes.
a model that is not really new. I know SIAM already since we started with our sourcing practices, and at the beginning, a lot of sourcing practices from that back then, Quinn Wellington Redwood were included in the SIAM approach. I know it as a model to be able to create a service integrator between multiple vendors. It was a crucial element back then in a multi-vendor environment. It supported service integration in the concept of service management. It supported vendor management. It supported
Yep.
vendor alignment. But I see a much brighter future for SIAM today than just that. What do you think, Zhenpeng?
Yes, indeed, like you said, SIAM is definitely not new. I think it's been out there already since 2006 or 2008. It only become ISO standard, part of ISO standard last year, 2023, December, part 14. So I see the same evolving process when we're talking about best practice on service management like ITIL. When it was introduced in 1993, it's only become ISO 20000 standard in 2005. So it takes about more than 20 years. Same for SIAM. It has been evolving from best practice frameworks, and then ITIL become a couple of national standard like BS 15000 and become ISO standard. In this case, SIAM just taking as part of 14 of ISO standard, focus especially on service integration. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I discovered with SIAM, as those that do understand IT service management do recognize a lot in the controls. What is
Right.
specifically unique is the service integrator, as we call that really
Right.
helps multiple organizations to create alignment in service delivery, creates alignment in service agreement with external parties. Um, in my experience, if those organizations that are moving to digital transformation,
Right.
we see a massive growth in their supplier environment. How do you see SIAM's future and essence in that environment?
Sure. Like you just explained, so SIAM have received more and more interest and attractions by corporates, mainly driving because the evolving of technologies and digital transformations. You can imagine in the past, right? Many organizations work within their own IT environment. They have their
Yeah.
own software, hardware process within their IT department, right? As nowadays with the emerging of technologies like cloud, AI, blockchain, a lot of things are moving to the ecosystem. So no companies can deliver their business without working with external service providers, right? Give example like banks, right? In the past, they can deliver their banking business, right? Without too much involved with external IT suppliers. But when you see nowadays, when with internet banking, fintech, and all things going up, and bank have to work with external suppliers, right? I just want to give set the scene, give share a
Yes,
slide
please.
on
Yeah.
how bank are now evolving in the working. So just one slide here. As we can see, in the past, bank deliver their banking business. Their core business is just banking business. Nowadays, I just give this as example. Bank cannot deliver their business without working with those guys in the bottom, hardware provider, storage backup, service support, application support, right? So once something goes wrong, the bank have to find where the root cause, who is responsible for what. So most likely the bank are just calling one of the service providers, say have these problems, and so service provider is trying to say, hey, that's not my problem, try other guys, call Accenture, call Lenovo. As a bank, there are specialties in banking business. How do they supposed to know where is the specialties of each service providers, and where are the overlap, where are the boundaries? So that's create a lot of waste, create a lot of inefficiencies in terms of collaborations, and all the service providers trying to defend themselves. That's not my problem, check with somebody else, right? Because they have contractual obligations, everything. So that's increase a lot of waste. Well, in Lean we say avoiding waste, right? So that's also create a room for a layer between the customer organization, which is bank, and service providers. We call them service integrators. So basically, that's where SIAM is about. Because in the past, like I said, many IT service are delivered on prime, within the banking organizations, they can do their business. And you have good software, hardware process in place, like ITIL, you can do your IT support, IT services. Nowadays, it's different story. As everything moved to cloud, and cloud itself is already service provider. Even the tool side, it used to be installed on prime, now it's going to SaaS, like ServiceNow. Many organizations working with ServiceNow, and there's 2,000 implementing partners of ServiceNow, and they are not only trying to become service provider, they also want to help their clients to manage other service providers as value-added service. So that's great. I see the moving under the wave of digital transformation. So more companies are adapting service integration management. That's bring more alignment between their IT and their business. So that's just for
yeah. No, let the slides be there, please, for a second.
Sure.
Because it recalls a lot of challenges we were facing. Yeah. So imagine I am this bank, as you have shown on this slide, or any fictive company we can use. Basically, I don't have a service integrator function. I just have good processes internally. I work with suppliers that have good services internally. We have mature service level agreements amongst each other. But here's the thing. I want, and I'm using fictively the supplier names you have in this picture. I work with Lenovo. I work with IBM. I work with Accenture. I work with TCS. But I want these companies to collaborate with each other in order to give me more mature services. But I also know for them to collaborate with each other, that is not in their commercial interest. And it takes me a lot of energy and effort to get that in place. And my experience is that they are all guarding their own territory, their own garage, and they're not willing to collaborate. How does SIAM help me with that?
That's a very good point. So definitely, like we are implementing any frameworks or any project, there will be resistant of change, both from internal organization, but also from your partners, suppliers, right? So basically, many of the organizations who are have specialized their service in IT also trying to have additional competence, capabilities on the integration part of it. And in order to be a good service integrator, you need to be able to separate your roles from your service provider to service integrators in order to convince other suppliers, convince that you can objectively manage other service providers, same as your own service providers. There shouldn't be conflict of interest. The same thing within the body of knowledge of SIAM, it also require a customer organization also inform the service providers, hi guys, this is the tender, this is gonna how we're gonna works. You need work with our service integrators on our behalf. In fact, within the service integrators, there's a couple of format. One format, the service integrators came from one of the service providers, and it also came from internal of user organization, like from the bank. And there's also a model called hybrid. So basically, the both people from bank organization, which is customer organization, together with one of the service provider organizations form a service integrator. So they have, they both know the culture of customer organization. They also know the areas, boundary for each service providers. In that case, it's much more acceptable by other service providers because the user organization, the banks, is part of the service integrator. And in such a way, the bank also will learn the skills, experience of service integration management from external service providers. So bank will regain their knowledge and experience. They might in the future have their own service integration department or virtual organization to manage their vendors. So it's also kind of like knowledge transfer. In such way, it's pretty already quite acceptable way working. I also had someone who used to work for one of the service providers, and who is really trying to separate himself as a service integrator to a service provider. Even their internal people was kind of complain, say, we are guys from same organization, but why you treat us the same? Because you need to create a same credibility for other service providers. So you need to treat even your internal guys who provide the service same as the rest of external service providers. So then you build your reputation as SI service integrator.
All right, that is quite something, because I realize when you explain where SIAM is real foundation is about, starts really with pick suppliers and make sure that the services you get from them are not conflicting with other suppliers. Does that mean that SIAM actually also helps me to create more purity in my corporate strategy towards IT services?
Definitely. So now we are talking under age of digital transformation. So no matter what type of companies, right? You are either public companies on the stock exchange, or your startup companies or middle-sized companies. Most of the business you need to maximum your profit margin, and there's two ways of doing that. Either you have new revenue streams where we have a body of knowledge like Verizon. We can give people the models how to transform your business models or innovate your business models, or you can saving your cost by optimizing your operational models. Whereas SIAM, like I said, will create efficiency because it reduces the waste of collaborations, communications between the vendors, and then you can improve your cost savings, and by also you serve your business goals. So working with the SIAM model is more bring the alignment between the IT strategy, IT service strategy to the business strategies. And there's even case studies. So yesterday I did the same webinar for a partner in China who used to work in a project from SIAM for German automobile industry. So the result, we are talking about the result. So the first year, people starting work in this model, well, maybe they didn't even know this is called SIAM as a body of knowledge, but they are working in such a way. It's promoting collaborations between the vendors, service providers with the service integrator structure. So first year, there's like 50 engineers from different service providers on site, our customers. So after using the model of SIAM, the second year, the total engineers on site from different service providers reduced from 50 to 35. So that means for corporate customers, they were able to spend less money and to achieve better business goals. Even did better and more jobs, achieved the target, and then the first year implementation after using SIAM. And for the service provider, it's the same the mandate, they can allocate their engineer to other project. So that's how the efficiencies and the business goal has been realized by implementing models like SIAM.
So if this is brilliant that you touch upon that, Zenpeng, because if we talk about IT service management, we talk about how we can actually structure IT services internally. We barely talk about how to do this with external parties and how to align that with that properly. But what you mentioned right now is that if you create a proper SIAM structure in your organization, you actually have the ability to rationalize what you do internally and what you source externally. And with that, there is a very clear ROI, return on investment, in this approach. Let's say let's take the case you have here with the bank, and I would adopt an SIAM approach in this scenario. What would be a realistic expectation for me to have return on investment in that? When will I see financial benefits to actually adopt SIAM in this structure?
Right. So if you are from banking organizations, definitely you are looking for the improvement of efficiency and also satisfaction internal and external customers. So this cost savings and efficiency improvement, optimizing your current operational models, IT operational models. But if you are one of the vendor organizations, you are able to create another revenue streams because you were in the past only provide your specialized IT services. Now you have a separate roles and you create another value and revenue streams as service integrators, and you can bring your additional service on top of what you already specialize as service provider to your customer organizations. And for them, that's new revenue streams. So like I said, in the digital transformation, there are two ways to maximum your profit, either by improving your efficiency by implementing models for user organizations, but for vendors, it's also another new revenue streams. So, in the end, you don't transform technology, you transform your business models, you're optimizing your operational models. So that's what you can expect. Yeah.
With every explanation you come, I have more questions because I really get interested in it now. So and I like that this is really where the future goes into the discussion of collaboration, co-creation. And you basically just mentioned that with the help of SIAM, this is not just a customer-driven methodology. Also, as a vendor, there are benefits for me in this, and additional value streams that can help me to give structured services and probably package them in a more customer-friendly approach that will generate more revenue for me. Did I understood you correctly with that one?
Definitely. Actually, in this case, we're just taking banking as examples, but you see it's cross industries, right? Because we are talking about IT service providers, but there's also applicable non-IT environment when people were talking about, service integrations. And, like you mentioned earlier, many organizations already do managing their service providers. Some of them call vendor management office, VMO. Just like project management, when there's no PM book, people still doing project management. They are still measured by quality, cost, and time, those criteria. But now we have a more formalized body of knowledge. What I'm saying about improved efficiencies, imagine when we say ITIL is a language, right? So you are expecting all your suppliers are speak the same language, have a common understanding on service integration. That's what increase the communications. otherwise you don't have the same terms, conditions, and people don't know what you're talking about, so that's why both vendor organizations and service providers and user organization need to speak the same common language. So when I was just last trip, I was in Kuala Lumpur, right? I speak with one of the finance institutions. They've been doing ITIL like 15, 20 years ago. And when I was talking about SIAM, they say, by the way, we had an ITIL from EXIN 10 years ago. Now I'm struggling with my suppliers because each of them have different service level agreement. And so I really, if I need to something, I need to call each of them to explain it. And also, that's given me create a lot of trouble and the waste. And I need also in my deck, I need to say something this went wrong. I need to call this number to this service providers. So it's created a lot of complications in their daily business. Where adopting the SIAM structure to make their work much more efficient and smooth, and also promote M-sphere collaborations between the service providers. So that's also I see a benefit. So after they know the model and they say, in my next tender, I will require my service providers have a certain skills and knowledge about SIAM to make sure they can serve my business goals. So that's the demand generation when they see the benefits from user organizations.
I think you just brought up something really, really crucial. From the 2000 onwards, we were dealing a lot with sourcing and specifically helping customers in order to arrange a proper outsourcing engagement. And it always surprised me that customers think that sourcing out means get rid of all the headache you have. And they really underestimate the effort an organization have, and in this case, exactly what you said, vendor management, how to manage all these vendors to make sure that you still get structured services. Outsourcing does not mean outsourcing the effort of managing them. It actually managing them intensifies, is my experience. And with SIAM, as you explained right now, you actually create a very proper approach in that scenario. There is more structure in vendor management. That is what you explained, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in SIAM process, I'm stopping sharing here so we can see each other in person.
Yep.
So yes, in SIAM, there's a number of different structures and people can adopt and follow in the body of knowledge. By the way, it's free downloadable. First of all, there's a lot of existing process already there in the organization from ITIL, from Agile, from different frameworks. Only it's implemented in different scales. Some of them like release management, event management, incident management, they are already there. Knowledge management, project management, also like change management you need to implement. It just you need to implement in the ecosystem in your supply chain rather than within your internal organizations. So in the past, many things our process are built within the organizations. It's easier, but now when you're working with the externals, process owners, it's bringing more complexities where require more structured, advanced model like SIAM to governance to manage all those processes. So it's built on top what organization already have in place in terms of processes. And same also like project management. In Prince2, you have starting the project, initiating project, directing project, controlling, managing, and closing project. Within the SIAM, you also have 4 stage of roadmap. You need to work with like discovery and strategy as phase 1, build and plan, implementing and run, improve. So it's also in lining with other practice you already have in place in organization. So it's built on top what you already have, and that's bring your next level success.
Yeah, I think thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, so implementing SIAM, if you already have service management in place, and yeah, so ITIL still is the de facto standard. SIAM is using a lot of the concepts of, I would say, ITIL version 2 and ITIL version 3 in it. Basically, it is something that you can build on top. It is not redoing everything over again. I can make use of my existing service management environment. I can make use of my supplier's service management environment and just put alignment as the whole objective of the service integrator on top of that and smoothen it out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Indeed, it required you have a certain practice in place, like ITIL process and project management methodology, change management, agile culture. It's required before you're adapting SIAM. It will bring additional result if you're already, like the last coffee you had with Yang Bongbong. It's more like a foundation of a building. You need to have this foundation solid before you build SIAM on top of it.
All right. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
So I know SIAM, I forgot how long, and somehow it got off the radar again. Thank you for bringing it back on the radar. I know there are some existing communities talking about SIAM.
Right.
Are you leveraging on that, or is it in your plan to blow new life into that?
Definitely. I've been been joining this industry for the last 20 years, since the day one when I'm working promoting adoption of ITIL. I'm already close to working with a community like ITSMF, right? There was maximum global 15 chapters, right, around the globe. And we are working with different chapters, working on that for bringing the knowledge of the user organizations, vendor organizations. Like back then, 2017, when EXIN starting offer DevOps, I was the one introduced DevOps Days to China. So I speaking with Patrick Du Bois, say, nice movement. You had started with globally. There's 108 cities at that time already have DevOps Days. I want to bring this to China. So he was with me in 2007. So we have a grand kickoff event for DevOps Days Beijing. And so since then, every year we organize events. So here is how I see the community is one of the key stakeholders of the ecosystems for everything we do, because it's neutral, it's independent, right? It is a soil where you can grow your plants. You need the soil. You need to have a open, transparent, independent environment, let both the vendors and user to share their experience, their failures. They learn from each other. That's something most important. In terms of community or SIAM, we have a very famous community called Sculptism, right? And I spoke also with the founders, with Clara Arcutta regularly. Actually, she was also the key architecture for the body of knowledge for SIAM, Verism, and even she involved partially with ITIL 4. So she's a very special person in this case, and she started Sculptism as SIAM community a couple of years ago. And I just spoke with her yesterday. We are also aiming to bring this to further globally. So I will help this community grow also in Asia. We are looking for a community first in Kuala Lumpur somewhere in August this year for SIAM community with Sculptism. Okay. So, it's key thing. It's something we need to start with for the community side. Yeah.
We have a large audience from the Philippines. It doesn't so. We do this virtual. Everything is virtual today. What would you advise them if they want to know more about SIAM? Where can they go now? Do they need to go to EXIN? Do they need to go to Scopism? Of course, they can come to us, but I think organizations should make an inventory what SIAM can mean for them. Where can they get information?
Yeah, well, just like every other best practices, there's also a full ecosystems, right? And there's different players in the value chain. So for the community side, Sculptism is definitely the one. You need to be there because you can access a lot of articles, case studies, and even the body of knowledge of SIAM Foundation professional, which is the exam literature of EXIN certifications, right? So EXIN is education and certification partner for Sculptism. As you know, we are also one of the partner of the community, same like we did for ITSMF in the past. And there's also communities from service providers in Sculptisms. There are user organizations, and there's also a lot of industry thought leaders, expertise actively contribute to communities. So for people from Asia, from Philippines, you can also join the events and webinars organized by Sculptism. And there's also each year November there's a conference called Service North in Manchester this year in November. So, be there. But also we are trying to bring the physical events to the region. So this year we will start with Kuala Lumpur. Maybe we can rotate to different cities in Asia. And we also, like today with you, Miki, we are also looking for organize webinars, because in Europe you have different time zones. It's complicated for people sitting in Asia. So we want to build our own community under the same brand, same concept for Asia. Maybe we have like national chapters, but we're starting with the Asian chapters and we grow from there. So everyone who interested about it, learning SIAM, share your experience with it. You're more than welcome to join the community. Start with Sculptism, and we will bring further to Asia. But we need people together from the ground and to help us build the community.
Indeed. So count us in. Yeah, and let's grow that all together. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of questions coming out of this.
Right.
Let me.
And one more thing, Miki, let me finish. So I was just talking about communities, like EXIN is a certification bodies, but you do also have like consulting companies, like I mentioned the names, a lot of them vendors like Accenture, Capgemini, and you also have a training company like you guys, like MindMagine, right? I just know Zelin has joined our trainers last Saturday and Sunday, and he even passed SIAM Foundation exam with a very good result. So I'm very much looking forward.
There's no surprise there. All guys are quite experienced, right? So for them to add on to our portfolio, that is a breeze, and more will follow. I have one question here from Saeed. Would it be beneficial for your business, between brackets long term, to operate at a loss in order to establish SIAM? So there is a critical note in that question. Yeah. I think nobody will really benefit from operating at a loss. My experience that comes out of this question, and I hope I take a little bit of the heat and the pain behind this question away, Zhenpeng. You can implement any model. It is not the model that works. It is how people make the model work in an organization. And especially when we deal with SIAM, we deal with a lot of different interest levels. Yeah, I have my company's interest levels. Every supplier has their commercial interest level. And the moment we start with the identification, how to approach this in SIAM, you also start making an inventory where the disconnect is and how you can mend that. Am I approaching that correct, Zhenpeng?
Definitely, Q. I think implementing any frameworks, you will experience some resistance, you'll experience some up and downs, you might temporarily see a loss, but in long term, you need to see the ROI of it. Regarding the alignment, Miku, you're exactly right. So even within the body of knowledge of SIAM, and there's a composition called structural elements, that's what talking about different level of organization need to be aligned between the customer organizations, service integrators, and service providers. On the top level, we call board levels. On strategic level, they need to be aligned. And then you have a process forum, you have a working group on the tactical level, strategy levels. So all the three layers should be aligned. They need to have regular meetings to align their goals, objectives. They need to resolving their issues on practical issues, other things. So to align it. So like you said, the model is there and people will make it work. So you need able to understand, what are the challenges, and each organization is also unique. You have different legacies, cultures, different. You need able to overcome those challenges and to maximize the benefits of implementing models like this. SIAM.
And brilliant, Zhenpeng. And I want to add something to that. The one thing that I really saw from our sourcing practices and our sourcing experience is that we have helped quite a number of organizations to professionalize the interaction between them as a customer and the suppliers they were dealing with. Most of the time, this was a bad scenario, not because they didn't like each other, purely because of really bad contracting. and really bad terms, conditions in the contracts that were not in mutual benefit. And I found with SIAM, you have a proper structure to approach this at a more mature level. And just as you said, Sanpeng, you cannot just put SIAM into an organization. You need a foundation to build it upon. You would benefit from SIAM big time if you already have an ITSM organization in place at a certain maturity level, a project management organization at a certain maturity level. And then SIAM will help you to actually start optimizing your sourcing strategy, your service strategy. And my experience at strategic level is it will really help you to understand what is your differentiator as a company, how to strengthen that, what should you keep internal and focus on that, and what can you source to external parties to maximize your business as usual. Yeah, and I think those are really crucial discussions to think about. There is no magic stick. Yeah.
Absolutely, Mikhail. So you also, as MindMagine, you've been training a lot of people in project management, in IT service management
We
from
do the whole
Asian
package,
market.
yeah, for years.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see you are doing training and with students interaction, you are delivering probably consulting project. Do you see the challenge where your customer organization, your students are facing? That's where SIAM can be a solution for them, help them to tackle their challenges.
Definitely, yeah, and so the whole concept of outsourcing is something that is reducing. It was really popular in the 2000s. We saw a huge amount of work coming to Asia, being sourced from Europe and the US to different parts of Asia. The one thing that was underestimated was really the cultural differences. Working in different time zones sounds easy, but lead to practical challenges. English is not a real universal language. Yeah, we all speak English, but we all do it in a slightly different way, and things get lost in translation. Where I see the real future of SIAM is I am a company that really needs to jump on digitalization. In my journey, and I have a few customers that are in this process and really considering this. In this journey, I start realizing that I do not have all the capabilities internally. I have a proper idea of what I want to do. There are certain services that can be fairly simply digitized with our existing organization. I have a few ideas that go into more disruptive strategies.
Right.
But I don't have the people for that. I don't have the skills and don't have the capabilities. However, if I want to have external parties joining in, that is risky because I basically need to open up my strategy to them in order to get their full support. Yeah,
Right.
and that is a beautiful discussion basically, because you can't build proper services without trust.
Right.
Yeah, and I think this is something we really need to realize with SIAM as well. SIAM is not going to create that trust for you, but it is a model that will help you to bring logic into the discussion, and that logic can help mutual benefits. Mutual benefits create trust. Yeah,
Exactly.
and I think that is where I see the real beauty, as because I always need to discuss this in having SIAM or having not SIAM. Organizations that are missing this concept steer quite blind in starting putting strategic services as external parties, not knowing if those parties really strategically supports them. If we talk about commodity, that is not a discussion. We talk about a much more riskful approach in supporting a corporate strategy. And I think that is a brilliant future where SIAM has a great role to play in. And would you see that differently, Sanpeng?
Well, I see exactly the same directions coming because, as I said, more organizations want to let specialized people doing the special area things, and they can focus their own core business, right? So
Yeah,
basically, and the people who deliver the service should be also be a professional, right? You have your specialties, right? And then you build your reputations, right? So basically then you earn the trust from a user organization, then you build your reputations, right? Because this we are in, we are in close community within industry, everybody is talking to each other, so your credibilities, your reputation is the key, right? So
yeah,
you need to establish by first giving the trust and earn the trust back, and then you establish your reputations, and then you are specialized in certain area things, and other peers, user organizations will, oh, you have done this for them successfully, can you help us with that? So then you gain more business of that. So it's
yeah,
doing business is about building the trust, right? You need first give the trust and then you earn it back. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And a good model can help you with getting the logic in there. Yeah,
definitely.
otherwise, I think a lot of, and in my opinion and my experience, this is not so much different as we dealt with the sourcing challenges in the 2000s. If there
Hmm.
is no logic or structure, people just do it based on best effort.
Yeah,
The risk with doing things on best effort is that you get chaos.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
and I
like
think that is,
yeah, it's like a language, you need to
yeah,
communicate
exactly. Yeah,
among each other, right? So
yeah,
people have a common understanding on certain terms, on certain process, certain structure, elements, roles, functions, process, practices. Yeah, best
yeah,
practice. Yeah.
indeed. I do not see any other questions coming along. What I would suggest is let me go to the closing page of this. Yeah, what I suggest is that everybody is welcome to consume what we discussed here. Follow the advice of Zenpeng, go to Scopism, get your hands on a body of knowledge, do a bit of reading. And if you have any questions, feel free to join us through the challenge that you can see in this slide. You can go directly to us. You can go to Phoenix One. Um, and if you have a specific question for Zenpeng, let us know. We will channel it through Zenpeng to EXIN to get your support. Um, don't forget to help us with an feedback. Yeah, so do scan the QR code. Give us a feedback of what you thought of this session. And Zenpeng is still quite early in the Netherlands for you.
Yes, it's about
Did you have your
9 in
breakfast
the morning.
already? Yeah,
Yeah, it's about 9 in the morning, so it's
yeah.
a good start of fresh day. It's really a great pleasure to have this opportunity having me and then working with partners like MindMagine and Phoenix One in the region. I'm looking forward to continue support you guys. As you know, EXIN is only one small part of the supply in the value chain, so we are only do certification part. But in
Yeah.
order to people have the needs for certifications, people need to starting with like training, consulting, even using tools. And also, starting with maybe just reading the body of knowledge from the community website. And there's also case studies from professional case studies. It's really like MBA case studies. So I encourage people to read and to talk about it. And if then you become interested and then talking with like Phoenix One and MindMagine with our consultant trainers to get more in-depth knowledge, then you try to implement at your working environment.
Zenpeng, you mentioned that very humble that as EXIN you are only accreditation partner. I think you guys do a great job in bringing SIAM back on the radar in Asia. Thank you very much for that, and thank you so much for your time in joining us in this discussion.
Thank you, Mikhail, for having me. Thank you, everybody. Spent time with us for the last 45 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and for later, enjoy your weekend.
Okay, nice weekend. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.